Yeah. Okay, thanks for inviting me to talk here. Vapaudusta ei oska estikielessä rääkitä kompliceeritut asiat. Ja olen siis musiikkiteadlane ja cognitive scientist and musicologist both, and I use both angles in this presentation. Now, my motivation comes from very long time ago. As a young student, I was always wondering how Schönbergi and post-tonal music always sounded somehow diatonic anyway. I was wondering about this because it was music that was deliberately designed not to be diatonic and take distance of it. My second interest has always been composition, so I was interested in a few issues. How to compose without tonics, centers, keys, and major, minor things, you know, but with pitch class tension. And with I was always interested and I love the idea of ambiguity in the expressionist era in music and art, and I wanted to do this. So Bi-hexaphony or whole tone scales, they were always there in that time's music, but it seemed to me that maybe there's something for me to elaborate. Another thread is what is experience and the holistic experience, and this is a citation from Stravinsky. He says, "For myself, I cannot begin to take an interest in the phenomenon of music except insofar as it emanates from the integral man," so the holistic man. I mean from a man armed with the resources of his senses, his psychological faculties, and his intellectual equipment. So that follows that I'm sort of always willing to see music as we see it as musicologists and theoretics, and as we experience it, and see the links between these. So this is how I see the epistemology of experience. By the way, I have written about the epistemology of experience in film, and this is my opening to music. So there are three kinds of perspectives that are put together. Okay, introspection, everybody experiences music as he or she does. Then there is psychophysiology involved in all of this. Our brains and belly and hands and everything are with. And the individual experience is there. But there is also a shared aspect there, because certain parts of brain do similar functions in everybody. And of course, we also have the shared code of notation and music analysis and all of that tradition. So the epistemology is to put this together. I'm not going to go through the history of music that has led to this stage, but because we all know it's a very complex issue. But I want to point out just one thing. It's sort of a history, a very short history of ambiguity right here. We have started from the idea that there's one truth and there's a perspective to things that we give all the authority. And that sort of broke in the beginning of the 20th century, and many kinds of new ideas came in. Surrealism is obviously one, but that happened also in psychology. The idea of constructivism is that we construct our perception and cognition ourselves. Gestalt theory was an important aspect there. And in philosophy, there were variants of relativism. And of course, in physics also came this idea that everything is relative. So many kinds of musical phenomena took place there. We know, you and I know all of these very well. Schönberg was talking about extended tonality as a term that covers many of these things. And Schönberg via Hauer ended up to this idea of dodecaphony, giving like democratic roles to all of these 12. But what didn't really happen, Hauer was talking about bi-hexaphony also, but he didn't really develop it much further. So I'm looking at bi-hexaphony as a key to experience ambiguous music, but also to compose ambiguous music. Okay, what is bi-hexaphony? It is the division of the 12 chromatic tones to 2, and I'm taking some conventions here. I call the whole tone series the hexaphony that starts with A. It's called alpha in my theory, and corresponding the B flat starts the beta, and I use these color codes in this presentation, and also in the alpha I use only these accidentals, and in beta these. So it's they're like keys in a way. So these comprise 2 sets, if you want, or something like keys. They are not really keys, but I use them with these accidentals. I notate them as sorts of keys. But they are also sorts of harmonic functions, and they are not dominants and tonics, but they are polydominants of each other, and this idea puts them into a sort of a yin-yang relationship to each other. Something that I want to say, I think it's very, very important, is that bi-hexaphony has always been there as long as septatonic scales have been there. They are composed of hexaphonic cells. It holds for minor keys, the major keys, the modal keys, and all of these scales. They always have a certain number of alpha, a certain number of beta, and they are like put together that way. So in that sense, bi-hexaphony has always been there, and it's part of diatonic music, and it's part of all music. It's also omnipresent in dodecaphony, because all rows must have been composed of both. I've looked at quite many Schönberg's pieces, how he does it. this is a division of the row into just two Bi-hexaphonic cells, but sometimes he breaks them into much more, very often to 4 or 3. But anyway, whatever I can say, whatever Bi-hexaphony implies, it has implications towards diatonic music and dodecaphonic music, and but not microtonal music, but maybe quarter tone microtonal. Okay, so then next, what is Bi-hexaphonic tension? Now, my hypothesis is that the tension has to do with this opposition of alphas and hexas, and within one cell, it sort of boils up and generates and aggregates tension within the cell, and then creates the urge to transit to the other. So it's the separation of this in itself that does it. Then I have then I put forward a hypothesis of which factors contribute to the tension. There is something I call ambitus. It simply means the cell ambitus, the max interval within that. So in this, the ambitus is 4 out of 5. 5 is the maximum of 7th, minus 7th. But this one doesn't have that. It's from E to B flat is the tension, so it's just 4 out of 5. And maturity is another one. Fully mature cell is such that has all of the 6 tones of the hexaphony. So the ambitus is here. The range of the number of whole tones out of the 5. And the maturity is the number of the tones out of the 6 that are played. Both of these have like the holistic associations. The ambitus, if you play double bass, or if you play the piano, or if you sing, you always use the musculature, and the wider the ambitus, the more tension there is. It's also, it has many kinds of muscular and place-related also associations. So the more tension there is, A times M, the more you feel, more urgency you feel to resolve it. That's my claim. And also the more ambiguous the cell is. When you introduce more tones of the whole tone scale, the more possible resolutions there are. So you turn more insecure about this. I'll come back to this. So then comes the tension at some point, the tension release at some point. I call it the transition. And it always happens via transitive intervals with others, which are the semitone, the minor third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and the seventh. And all ascending and descending are equal in this discussion. And if you think of it, these are exactly the same intervals as you use in diatonic dominant tonic transitions. And here's the alpha, here's the beta, and if you look at these intervals that take you to the D in the beta, they are exactly these. So it's funny that there is a sort of a built-in diatonic tension, even if you use these things that have nothing to do with diatonics. So my claim is that bi-hexaphonic transition is an affordance for experiential tension resolution. Okay, this is a Ford, just to use the metaphor, and these rocks and the shallow spot is the ford where you can cross the river. And of course the theory of affordances come from J.J. Gibson in psychology. What happens here is never a transition, a release to tonic, but it relates to something more ambiguous, and I call it polydominancy. It's that the transition always takes you to, it gives you options. You could go to that, you could interpret that certain thing as tonic, or something else as tonic, and something yet different as tonic. If you are if you have the diatonic ear, as I suspect we all have, despite of all things. So I interpret that the diatonic ear is something culturally preserved and in our brains, and there's also research on that. I'll go on. The polydominancy means that if you pile up these tones of the hexaphony, make an hexachord, you have simultaneously a dominant for the fourth degree. If you take the root, okay, here the C is the root. There's one dominant implication from the D7th chord, which is included. There's an implication to G, and so there are at least six dominant implications at the same time. And of course, they are not fifths, but they are augmented fifths. So read it as the in terms of the dyads. So this would be the dyad, significant dyad leading to fourth. So alpha and the beta are polydominants of each other in that sense, and this generates a great ambiguity. And when you read it, it's like connecting dots in Gestalt theory, or reading the Bluint patterns and so on. And it's also with auto narration in my theory. sort of a self-explanation. I explain to myself how I got to this chord or this tone. I'll develop this later. So, okay, this is Max Wertheimer, who was one of the fathers of the Gestalt theory, and of course you know this. So there's no triangle here at all, not here, but you construct it. And there's no black line here, but you construct it. And of course we know that Wertheimer was a musician. This gives me tools to go to take a phenomenological approach to music analysis instead of the canonical. So what is essential is the structure of temporal experience, which was originally Husserl's idea. He describes it in the phenomenology of the consciousness of internal time, of course in German originally. And this is Maurice Merleau-Ponty, who says that we humans share experience due to common embodied foundation. So he also develops this idea further, and from him I take with the idea that cognitions, feelings, and experience are actually aspects of one and the same system. And that's why I was talking about reaching and stretching and these things. Okay, this guy is Francisco Varela, who has formulated the idea based on Husserl, that there's a structure in temporal experience. And he's also the father of neurophenomenology, which means that he basically says that if we feel something, our whole body is with, and thereby it can be measured also by means of psychophysiology. And I go back to this. So this idea from Husserl and Varela and all of these guys, it's a long tradition actually. It is that there is it can be analyzed in three parts. Retention is the auto. What happened?
I think
should I do something?
No.
Retention is the what we keep in the short time memory, basically. Like the tone progression or chord progression that happened, and retention is my analysis of it, and protention is the anticipatory idea of what I anticipate to happen because of these things happened, and I draw a sort of a line through all of these things, and all of this that happens now is also in a context which conditions it. What am I out? It seems.
You are back now.
I'm back. Okay.
You are all the time back.
Okay.
Online.
You are online all the time.
Okay. So he's stretching his muscles, and she's okay. And one thing I want to say about retention is that in the holistic human, the auto narration and the sense making of what happened. It doesn't have to be verbal. It will turn, or it can turn verbal, but basically it's like pre-verbal and perceptual logic. And it has an evolutionary background there because it serves to predict better, or there's a spelling error, but it fits here because it gives better protection for wild animals and those kinds of, all kinds of dangers. Also part of the theory is the presentation now, and it's what I do now. I have simultaneously I retend and protend right now, and that's like the focus of my experience. To translate this to music, I like to think of this protention, retention as mental voice leading and mental harmonization and mental composition of music to myself. Okay, and then I go to the principles, how I use this to make music. The sequential principle, somehow it corresponds to Schönberg's 12-tone row, but I use the hexaphonic cells. To myself, I say that use all of the current, all tones of the current hexaphony before transiting to others. If I want to make a mature cell, not all of the cells have to be mature. There's no order dictated, unlike the Schönberg row. Everything is allowed inside there. It's my artist freedom. The vertical principle, which Schönberg didn't have, is that all of the tones that co-occur, they have to belong to the same hexachord. That's the main principle. Of course, they can be appoggiature or suspense. What follows is sort of a sensation of hexaphonic consonance, which arises at least in my introspection. I hate it if a major chord or a minor chord is lost somehow. If I write the wrong key, I sense it as something wrong in this context. I have no idea if I have audio or not, but I guess not. But this allows me to stack up quite huge clusters, and they always have this quality of creating tension to go forward. I wish I could play this, but I guess not. What happens here? Oh yeah, that's before the cadenza in my pen. I already mentioned the dissonance idea here. I hope this sounds, this Schönberg's wind quintet, he uses this as an example in style and idea. So what he does is that he has a solid Bi-hexaphonic structure here in my terms. He of course didn't think in these terms, but what he seems to do systematically all the way when he composes with his roses, he uses he overlaps the cells in my terms. So there would be appoggiatura and suspension here. Hope this works. Of course, it might be difficult to hear here because there are two kinds of tensions. There's this thing I call the Bi-hexaphonic tension, but there's also the classical dissonant tension waiting for appoggiatura or the suspension. But what I want to say here is that this analysis bites also to Schönbergi very, very well, and it gives me it gives me answers to the question I had 40 years ago. Maybe I was hearing this BH tension already then. Okay, so in these slides that come, how am I with the time? I'm actually coming pretty close to my end. I notate the protensions with this broken line arrow and retention with arrow, solid arrow backwards. It's my story. It's my narration of what happens. So. Okay, obviously, here's a simple example of protension. I pick C, E, and B flat here. I ignore the G sharp here, and I interpret it in terms of a dominant seventh for F. This is where we are now, this diameter shows. So we all use this all over classical diatonic music, right? But the retentive mental harmonization in conditions of ambiguous music, my hypothesis is that we do this retention. And here, let's imagine we pick this kind of explanation. I think I interpret that I'm in a G major chord here. You might disagree because there are other chords also that you can construct. And then in my working memory, I remember that before that, that there was something else that indicated the possibility, and that was a D major seventh chord that comes out of this. I'll go further here. So, okay, this is my music, and I go forward from a spot where I have constructed C. I think there might have been a C major seventh chord although the E is missing. But it comes here. My prediction was right. It turned out to be a C major 7th chord to me. And now there's not so many other possibilities either. Then I predict that maybe F major chord will appear. Oops. Yes, and it sort of does. And then I think I can predict that a B flat chord appears. This is the prediction. Or it didn't, and I have difficulty interpreting this in terms of B major anyway. So I go forward, and here I get evidence for something totally different. So maybe this is E and G sharp, and maybe it's dominant for something A. This is an idea how I think I listen to music this way, more or less. But what happens if you go from dominant to dominant? You get of course a circle of fifths, and my hypothesis is that you construct experiential circles of fifths, but in the condition of a polycircle of fifths. So all of these chords are actually they are readable or hearable or audible in terms of augmented fifth chords. So each of them gives at least 3 interpretation possibilities. So here I'm going backwards. So from I thought this was an A major chord, but it must have come from E. That's my theory. But here I have 3 different branches of retention here. I can follow the G sharp or C or E. Okay, I chose the G sharp anticipation, which led me to D sharp, which is the middle letter upside down. So again, I have 3 branches to go to experientially. Okay, and so on. You don't go around the circle, but you jump from one circle to another, and you can navigate in this complexity. And it's not all of these options are always available for you, because the composer may have chosen to emphasize something rhythmically, or giving it to a trombone or something that make it strong. So I have made a special demo for this. This is from my 3rd string quartet. It's the last movement, which is presto, and it's a perpetuum mobile that basically loops forever. And I have added a double bass line to a certain point to mark out a possible experiential line of like a circle of fifths. Let's see if this works or not. No sound. Okay, but anyway, if you read these chords, you see these optional readings during the way, and then when this keeps looping, sometime I'll just show how what I did. I added a bass line to point out that you could hear these fifths moving around.
Should we see your score?
What?
Should we see?
What happened? Is the score is?
There's no score in.
Oh, okay. So
You're only sharing the window. You're not sharing the screen.
oh,
Yeah, then we don't see it.
okay. Let's see if I have to turn it on again.
Oh,
Start.
now we see it.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe the sound comes also. I wonder what happened. Share entire screen. Okay, maybe the sound. Well, you got the point. So
This you show with these different colors.
yeah, I've coded them with these colors. So every cell is a polydominant. That's what it means. That you can see this dominant and go that way, or you can go interpret something else as a dominant and why am I not? I'm supposed to be sharing full screen.
Yeah.
Okay, you heard this Schönberg
Yes.
example,
Yeah.
but just what I want to say here is that okay, why is this Schönberg? I'm sure you feel the tension in here. It is in my terms because they are mature cells. He breaks the row into two cells, and that gives you the cognitive experiential tools to construct these polydynamic relationships. That's my theory. Okay, but I'm skipping, I'm revisiting diatonics here too. This is the Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, which is not all the way Bi-hexaphonic, of course, because there would be diatonic chords, but essentially, there's a lag somehow.
There's a heavy lag, yeah.
Very long lag. And that's a pity. Okay. Twinkle, twinkle, little star. So we know well all of these functions, but what in terms of bi-hexaphony, there are.
It went
two.
back.
Oh no.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
But
So-
G must be pink.
Sorry.
G must be pink, not clean. I don't understand.
Which one? Where?
If you see you have two of these whole tone scales, then we have C, D, E, F sharp, G sharp. I don't understand that.
The black ones are not interpreted in this way.
I don't understand anything anymore.
Okay. This is
C, D, E, F,
this is
F sharp, G sharp. Yeah, and then A is pink. Okay.
yeah.
So, but so the black ones, they are not analyzed.
Yeah, because they are out. They are not hexaphonic.
But why?
Yeah,
But
because
why? This is
well,
selective.
I'm fitting this interpretation to what can how it can be fitted into a diatonic context. This is my effort. So what happens is basically that it groups the subdominant and dominant to one chord, which happens in music history. That happens, and that even in Mozart and pop music, and it's a combo. It gives me an implication that maybe I or somebody would have to look at these things together. But also what happens here is that in terms of Bi-hexaphonic, these are part of the same cell, even if they in diatonics they look they are different chords. But essentially, this view groups traditional harmonic functions to two different sets,
Yeah.
and it sort of it's like a little bit like Schenker reduction.
Yeah, Schenker is a mystery, of course.
Yeah.
What he does, what he didn't do.
Yeah, well, that's just, I don't know how to go forward with this, and I may not go forward because it's not my basic interest.
I have a little bit doubt that this theory is good to apply for diatonic music. So I like this. There was this sonority, what you name consonants. It is of course some sort of consonancy because we have no semitones, what are more dissonant. It is not 100% consonant because we can discuss long time about tritone, especially about the equal temper tritone, if it's dissonant or consonant, and but of course we have these two types of sonority. I think it's a good theory for, of course, you can, no problem, can use it as a composition theory. But for analyzing, if I remember yesterday, these octatonic pieces, so I think with octatonal pieces you will definitely struggle because this scale constantly jumps from alpha to beta. So yes, I think every method, like we have found out, and the classical harmonic analysis is good for one thing. Then we have, if comes this very complicated harmonic relationships in Schubert and Wagner, maybe then sometimes Neo-Riemann is better, and so. For me, every method has its benefits and its outcomes, but no method cannot be good for everything.
That's right, of course, but I'm thrilled of the possibility of looking at this. Okay, I show the idea once more here. Now that. At least looking at easy diatonics, not very complicated, you can very often feel this sense that the composer plays in somewhat.
Of course, you can say that the fundamental note of the dominant and the subdominant fall in the opposite. Opposite holds and holds, and. That is something what we can find out. But how good is just this fact to analyze tonal music with these two whole tone scales? I have a bit doubt in that.
Yeah, maybe it doesn't work, and it's not my interest either.
Yeah.
But I'm just, I have this question.
I'm really, of course, more interested in, of course, composition theory is more individual, more diverse, because every composer uses its own methods, and I think there can be an enormous amount of creativity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So just to conclude, I have just a few concluding things here. So I have put on top of each other this idea of the structure of temporal experience with musical scores, which I think also relate to experience to some sense, like introspectively at least. And I have used this as my tool of pitch organization. It's my little sandbox. And I have analyzed the idea of polydominance as something that helps the experience to structure stretches of music. And I think there may be generalizability, at least to post-tonal music where you don't really care about the dominant tonic relationships, but where you still may be listening to these things. But one thing is that interests me is the whether there are tools for experiential music theory that is not based on the idea on the score, but basically things that you can experience, and the other idea is that these relationships have a long history. They are not given by God to an artist. They are not ad hoc. Now, I have not walked through you with the psychophysiology related to these things, but there is a lot of work that relates to anticipation and the release of tension, and you can do it basically. So, yeah.
My question: what is the tension between these two hexaphonic collections, or how? Because. Or is there some tension, or what is the tension? Is the tension this constructed in our brains, or in our tradition, or what it might be?
There could be something acoustic also, or something like that, but I know nothing about it. But what I claim is the cultural tradition that we all share, and also the physiology, the idea of tension in physiology or weight. Support something.
It's a metaphor, I think.
Yeah, it's a metaphor, but we are, our whole language has, and our whole brain has developed with these metaphors.
Exactly.
So I think there are many ways to sense the tension, not only the concept we inherited from diatonics, but that we have anyway.
Yeah. Because I suggest if you play that music to a musician of another culture, so they don't feel this tension.
Yeah,
but they don't even maybe might feel the tension between dominant and tonic, what we feel, or between our the cadence for 6-chord to dominant and these things.
That's right.
Yeah.
But anyway, there are hints that across cultures, people have a representation of the circle of fifths anyway, because it might come from sounds, environmental sounds.
I don't believe that.
You don't?
I don't believe that. I believe that most of our musical experience is learned. I believe this.
Sorry.
Is learned. So we have learned the true culture.
Yeah, I believe it very much too.
Yeah.
But there can still be something. But it's a matter of research.
If an Arabian musician talks about something in this makam music and it must be like this and they feel this, I cannot follow it because I have learned it. So I think that there are only a very few universals in music cognition. So, for instance, the hearing of roughness of intervals. I suggest that it should be hardwired in the brain, and that should be recognized by different cultures. But as we see in our culture, there is several hundred years they treat dissonance and consonance develop from this roughness experience very different conceptions. So, or it maybe also belonging to the tuning. So if you have Pythagorean tuning, of course, the major third is not sounding beatless enough that we feel there more roughness as is in 5/4 tuned major third and things like that. There's so many of things we play in culture.
Yeah, I agree with you, but all of these things can be approached in terms of research, and that takes me to my last slide.
Yes.
So I have postulated certain things and certain hypotheses, and okay, you all know Karl Popper, I think, probably, whose idea was that in order to a hypothesis be like a reasonable, have credence, it must be inherently disprovable or falsified. And this, I claim that this idea of such a bi-hexaphonic tension can be falsified if it doesn't work. There are psychological experiments that hint at the direction that it might work. You can see in different kinds of psychological experiments that there's tension and then it comes or some surprise appears. But it's not established that this kind of tension accumulates. And it's a very relevant question. It does accumulate introspectively and experientially, but in order to do so, it also must have some neural or embodied background. Okay, well, thanks for this opportunity to cough out this theory.
Thank you, Mauri.